Welcome to the Real Estate Pro Radio Show. This is your host, Amber Arms, and we have with us today Carolyn from Conshohocken, PA. All right. Well, let's just jump right into it. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I am a single mom with, I raised 6 kids. I only have a couple left at home. And I've been doing real estate for over 20 years, but I wanted to do real estate from pretty much the time I graduated high school. I don't know why, but I just loved houses and I loved people. I have a dog, 2 cats, and I enjoy reading and motivational speakers whenever I can.
Wow, sounds like you got a full life then with, you got all the pets, and it sounds like you've been looking to be a real estate agent for a long time. Do you remember how that dream started, how that came to be?
I think it probably had something to do with we moved a whole lot when I was a kid, and we never owned a home. And I always wondered why that was. And then once I got into high school, I started checking it out. And the minute I was out of high school, after church every Sunday, I would start going to open houses and asking a lot of questions. So I really don't know, obviously, like every other agent, I didn't expect the stress that goes along with it and the involvement you are with every one of your clients. But I do love being able to help people, knowing that they can trust me and knowing that I know that I make our industry just a little bit better, like 1 yard at a time. That's my tagline.
Absolutely. And, you started, it sounds like pretty young into the real estate industry. How did you get your start into this industry?
Well, by the time I had taken classes at the community college, and I had all my credits, and then I decided to start a family and help my husband run his business. And then when that all started getting a little wonky, that's when I said, okay, we're not doing this. And I started taking real estate night classes and got my license and found one of the most amazing brokers that I could have found in an independent company to kind of raise me in real estate. So I'm not sure how long I would have lasted if I was corporate right away. With technology and everything changing so fast, corporate is just where I need to be now because I can't do it all.
Yeah, really got to be with, a big company that has good support behind it now. But it sounds like you had a really good mentor to start out with, so that seems like it was a really good situation.
The best, yep.
And, what made you decide, to be a real estate agent? What was the final straw that really made you decide, I want to be an agent someday and I want to put the time into this? Is it just that you were familiar with it, or what made that decision for you?
Well, what really put me over the edge to want to do it is because with 6 kids, if one was sick and I actually had a job that I would have to call my boss on every day. So I think it was the independence and the ability to get out of my house and work with people and interact with other agents. And, I got involved with a lot of nonprofits right away. So I think that grounded me into, wanting to help everybody. That makes sense. And then, the longer I'm in real estate, I still want to help everybody, but I've learned up front to kind of find out where they're at instead of wasting weeks and months knowing then that they can't really do anything at the time.
Yeah, and setting expectations on both sides as far as, where both of you wanted to be at the end of this and what the goals were before you get too far into it.
Yep. So, yeah, you can't, but you can certainly try, right?
Yeah, you definitely can. You can only do your best. And it is a social industry, so, having those good skills to be able to connect with people and just figure out how to get them to the goal that they're looking to is really important.
Yeah, well, one of my gigs right after I had my first son was I worked for Dale Carnegie courses. So that was pretty amazing because they should teach all those things in school, but they don't. So I had a great benefit of being part of that and really learning how to deal with people in the best manner.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that, technology has changed a lot in the last couple of years. How would you say that you see things changing in the future? We're coming into a new year here, a new cycle for the industry. How would you say things look in 2022?
Doing my research, the things with the commissions being split and buyers paying their own commissions, I feel like that's probably on the horizon. A little worrisome for first-time buyers. And I see technology stepping all over us as agents, but at the same time, anybody who really has used just an online system has not been happy because they haven't really had the guidance. Wow. So I more of that, which helps me really target and know what to say in any ads that I'm running. And, I know it's easy to click, and then you can hit the iBuyer and go see the house, and somebody does everything for you, but you're never dealing with the same person. And I really am seeing that nobody really has the buyer's back when they're doing that.
Yeah, I think it really kind of brings a little bit of impersonality almost into the situation where you don't really feel like you're making a connection with the buyer or seller, if, whatever the case may be. You're not really building that connection between the agent and the client. And sometimes you really need that to be able to guide them to, what they need for their situation, because sometimes they may not know.
Yeah, every buyer meeting, my first buyer meeting, everybody thinks they know what they want, but the way my questionnaire goes is, what would you love? Paint me a picture of your dream home. What definitely do you not want, and what do you need? So when they really have to think about those questions, they almost have never thought of that. They just go like, this house looks pretty, and this is the school district we want to be in, and so to really get their brain thinking of like, yeah, we definitely don't want too big of a yard to take care of, or we definitely want over an acre because we have 3 dogs, or whatever it might be. Mm-hmm. So, the beginning of the process is the most crucial point. Not to say that minds don't change, and what we thought we needed, now we don't, and things that we didn't think we need, the more we look at houses, the more we do. And in this market, people have really just been wanting to settle. Like a house comes on the market, like, you think we can get it? Like, let's write an offer. This doesn't have 3 things that you told me you must have. So are you sure? Just because we looked at it, just because you might have a chance. So I see a little bit of desperation with the buyers, and that I feel that's where they definitely need some guidance.
Yeah, because, for most people, I'd say that a house is probably the biggest investment that the everyday person's going to end up making in their lives. So making sure that they invest in something that they actually are okay with staying with for a while, at minimum a couple years typically. Some of these clients will sit in there for 20 or 30 years.
Yeah,
so that's really important.
The industry tells us average 7 to 10 years. I really don't know that that's the case. I mean, depending on where their life is and what they do, but people, if they really love where they're at and they start building roots, then they really do stay there a lot longer. So I'm not sure where NAR comes up with those. Not that I don't trust them, but I guess me personally, my clients, when they find something, they tend to stay longer than that period that the universe says they should be.
I mean, that kind of makes sense, because if you're going out of your way to try and help guide them and make sure that they're getting a home that they actually, want long term, rather than just, let's settle for what we can actually get right now, you're going to have better satisfaction long term, and those clients will probably tend to stay there longer. So, it's probably a factor in that changes how it looks as far as how your clients go versus, everybody else, because there's a lot of agents out there that have different strategies on how they get their clients into their home, and it sounds like you really care about making sure that it's something that they actually want.
Well, yeah, after 20 years, I have to say probably 90% of my business is referrals, and I didn't really realize that's how real estate works But, having done that and not hurt anybody and not really cared more about the commission than the client along the way, that's where my mentor came in. Because when you're a single mom and, 2008 and 9 came, and when something was under agreement, I was like, you know what, that heater, you can replace that heater in a little bit. But it definitely on the straight and narrow as far as that went. So that was, and I really think like whoever an agent starts with is kind of how they're going to work a whole business. That's my thought.
Absolutely. And, we've kind of talked about 2022. Do you see this trend continuing into, say, 2023 or 2024? Do you see that continuing into the future years as well?
So the crystal ball, right? Like we never have that crystal ball. The question is, are we going to see another bubble? Is this a bubble? The difference with that is people are actually qualifying for mortgages. It's, you can't just fog a mirror and get a mortgage and buy a house. So, the uncertainty of the world in general, obviously that uncertainty, like it filters into every industry. But I think
absolutely.
I really think, the rates jumped a little bit and everybody got worried. I like to tell my clients I had good credit and 20% down with my first house, and my rate was over 16%. So don't complain about the 3.25 because you're still perfect.
Exactly.
So I think the rates are going to hang in there. They're going to fluctuate, but I don't think the rates are going anywhere crazy, although everybody's talking about they have to go up in order to help the economy. But I'm not sure that that's going to be the case. So I think the rates are going to stay definitely under 4, which I think is still a fabulous rate, for at least probably spring of 2023. That's what I read and what I hear. I think that's a pretty safe bet to say that we're not going to see the rates go crazy until the market calms down, like the catch-22. People don't want to list their house because they're afraid they'll be homeless because the market's so tight. So that's why our inventory is so short. So when will that change? How will that change? That's like the question of the day. But I do think that the inventory will loosen up, just by chance. A big focus of mine is, the 65 and older, because if you're selling your 2,500 square foot house, you don't need that anymore, and you'll have plenty of money. Let's go rent, and let's see what the market does next year. But there's not many people that I can say that to. Some people are having babies, and they need a bigger house. So contingency that really I'm pretty sure is illegal when we write in there like, hey, your offer is going to be contingent on my seller finding their next house. Buyers are so desperate that they're just like, sure, whatever. If we have to wait 4 months, 5 months, we'll do that. But that's where it gets tricky with mortgage, the interest rates, lock-in a rate, inspections, appraisals, all that fun stuff. So I really think that we'll see the inventory loosen, I'm hoping, by midsummer. But I think it depends on what the rest of the world is really doing, too. If we have another of this pandemic come and things start shutting down again, like, who knows? We really all thought that 2 weeks our industry would be shut down for 2 weeks, and that would be it. And here we are. Things are still getting shut down. Everybody still has to wear a mask. We have to sanitize everything we touch. It's just I think through the pandemic has definitely created a new way that our industry will run, as far as virtuals and, everything being electronically signed. I've seen a few mobile settlements, not many, but the day that first of all, I hate that I can't get inspections right now because we still are limited to the people that can be there. There's a bonding time, that 2 hours. Like, you get to find out a little bit more while you're sitting there, and you find out really what they love about the house while you're there. And then when we weren't allowed at settlement, like, that's the celebration day. So I won't say that I was breaking the rules. I wasn't showing up at settlement, but I was there shortly after at their new house, just to congratulate them, so to speak, because we weren't allowed all in the same room. But virtually, FaceTime is a brilliant thing. If I wasn't allowed in the settlement room, we're FaceTiming. So I still got to crack jokes and, see what the seller was all about. But I kind of hope that part goes away, because this is a hands-on industry and this is all about people. But I don't know how much that's really going to change as we move forward.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say, technology, it seems like it's been getting further and further into our everyday lives and getting incorporated into different parts of our lives and different industries. And yeah, I definitely feel like some of it will probably stick, some of it will probably stay, but there's definitely something that is nice about being able to see people in person. And I think that everybody misses that on some level, just being able to be there every step of the way.
Right. Yeah, this is a people business. So if you're in real estate, let's hope that you like people. I know a few agents that really don't, but for the most part, we all like people. We like our clients. We like spending the time together. So I think that part will change, because this is a people business, and it's hands-on, and there's lots of questions that come up, and that's the one thing that one of my coaches told me a very long time ago. You're a professional. You do not have to answer your phone 24 hours a day. You do not have to work 7 days a week. But I tell every client, you could be, if you're laying awake in bed and you can't sleep, text me. If I'm awake, I'll hear the text. But if I'm sleeping, I'll see it in the morning. It's just a very stressful, especially in this market. People, selling agents are going, okay, all offers need to be in by 5 o'clock on this day, and then we'll get back to you in 2 days. So then, you have nobody's really sleeping for those 2 days. Do we have the house? Do we not have the house? Oh, this house came on the market. Do we want to go look at this while we're waiting? It's just crazy, and I wish people would, if you call for a deadline, get us an answer that night. How about that? I don't think it's that hard. So if other realtors are going to listen to this, I'm going to say, get us an answer the same day you're calling for your highest and best. Thank you.
Yeah, it really seems like it's a seller's market right now. It definitely feels like a lot of it's in the power of the sellers right now.
It is, which is good for sellers, but the only thing that they don't have is where they know that they're going to go find their next house. And a lot of times people, they're positioning themselves on a refi to take the cash out to be able to buy and then sell. So then they may have been told not the truth, and when a house doesn't appraise, and everybody's scrambling because they probably maybe overspent or overdid or something. But keeping everything in check is really important, but gets lost way too often.
This episode is brought to you by We Insure Center of Chester Springs, Pennsylvania. With access to over 200 carriers, We Insure is ready to service all of your insurance needs for home, auto, business, life, and more. Simply call 484-207-6640. Again, that's 484-207-6640, or visit WeInsureCenter.com. Get your free quote today. And so, you've been talking a lot about different types of agents out there. What would you say people should be looking for in a good real estate agent?
So that's a great question. I like to say, when we're holding our first-time buyer seminars, not every agent is going to be your cup of tea. If you don't like them, or they're talking over you, or they're talking as if you should know everything they're saying, the comfort level is the most important thing. Some people say, oh, well, they drive a Mercedes, so they must be really good. Or they drive, beat-up cars, so they must not be good. I think it is in a personality, and their work ethic that makes a good agent. And that's some things that I'm not sure that every buyer knows to look for. And I really think every family probably has a realtor in it at this point. Like with how many agents went and got their licenses through the pandemic, I believe everybody has an agent in their family. And a lot of times it comes up where they don't want to work with somebody in their family, which, trust me, it hurts our feelings when that happens, but I get it. So a familiar, somebody who you can relate to that is going to give you the service that you deserve, being that you're going to make the biggest purchase of your life. So I get it. My coach will tell me 9 to 5, no weekends, blah, blah, blah. And I hate when I say, like, I'll get back to you on Monday. If you hand in any offers on Friday, and today agents listening to it, I get it. Good for you for being able to do that. But it's very stressful to the buyers. It's very stressful to your sellers. If you have an offer, they probably would want to know. They probably want to know what it is on Saturday afternoon.
Right.
So I'm not sure that will ever change. So as far as a good agent goes, just really somebody who you relate to. It's hard to say. And, of course, I say the more experience the agent has, the better, because we've seen, I can honestly say it was told to me early in my career that every folder that hits your desk, you're going to learn something from it. And that is 110% accurate. Every time I think I've seen everything, and the next folder is like, oh no, like this is FHA wants you to check this popcorn ceiling now, or you need a survey, or like there's always something different, and sometimes it's the people that create the difference, and sometimes it's the house that creates the difference, and sometimes it's another agent that creates the difference. But this is definitely a live and learn. So new agents, I always suggest that they jump on a team and have that person to call and have that person to follow. That way they're not fumbling a lockbox and not even knowing what to look for on their first showing, or skipping, not knowing how to fill out their forms, and protecting their client. I mean, almost every agency out there has some great training, but after somebody goes through all the training to actually get their license, I think they think that they know everything. And little do they know that
there's a lot to learn.
Nothing of what real estate is about in those classes. I think that's antiquated too. I wish we could change some of those classes and make it real life. They get out and they know everything about an appraisal, but guess what? You're not appraising a property. And you know everything about mortgage, but you're not writing the mortgage. So, I mean, it's important to know all the steps and all the ins and outs, but I think, if they could throw some accessibility into the training, or, realize that these people are making big decisions and don't need any pressure, don't need, any kind of stalkers in the midst of it. Right now, all of my buyers love that I'm a stalker. Like, hey, this just hit the market. Are you free this afternoon? Like, so in that matter of fact, but when there's a prospect and they say like, I'll be thinking about selling in 3 to 6 months, don't call them every day. Don't think that you're going to change their mind. Just put it in your calendar, remind yourself, and do it later. But I get a lot of complaints from people who have just got done the process, or getting ready to do the process, and they're already working with an agent. That comes up a lot. Like, they just want to make sure that somebody has their back, somebody's going to answer that phone, and that, I've said to every client, my number will never change. So, and that's true. At one point I thought like, I had to stay with the same company, so my number didn't change. So I get calls from clients 10 years after they bought a house and say like, hey, this is happening. Who do you think I need to call for that? Or, the best calls are, hey, my daughter is thinking of selling a house and they're going to need to buy one. So, those come list me calls. They're the best in the world calls.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned the real life experience thing because, we do the interview thing, but, for my day job that I do to actually be able to make a living, I'm actually an insurance agent. So the licensing is actually kind of similar where, you go through all this training, you go through all this coursework, and at the end of it, you end up learning that we really did learn a lot about how the industry actually works. A lot of it is based on experience and knowing how to deal with situations as they come up. So it's kind of funny how those two industries are kind of similar in that aspect where experience really matters.
Yeah, I think it really does. So I think, hands-on, let's say like, hey, for your last couple credits before you can go take the state test, let's go on a field trip. Like, let's walk through an office, or let's, get on the phone with an agent who's been doing this for more than a day. Like, because some agents learn very quickly. I've seen some agents come out of the gate and they have phenomenal years And I know every single folder that they touch, they're learning something. So if a new agent has 25 settlements under their belt, they're really probably 5 times further than any other new agent. Like, it's just crazy. And, you know, I always tell new agents, when somebody asks you how long you've been doing this, you just tell them that you have a team with, between the team, 50 years experience. And we've seen it all. Like, my partner, like, from our original company, he remembers when everybody had to deliver their inventory. Like, hey, I just listed this house, and they had to take it to every real estate agency. Like that just blows my mind. I can't even imagine doing that now, but that was the way it happened. And that's why I think, you know, the more it changes, everybody needed that realtor then. I still say forever, somebody will need a professional working with them to buy or sell. I see the FISBOs not realizing that they actually need to do something for the township or a borough. I see them not knowing anything about it. Oh, and right now, like, you know, it's easy to say, like, anybody could put a sign in the ground and sell a house because that's where our market's at right now. But getting it to the closing table without everybody being bruised and bleeding at the settlement table, then that's a whole other story.
Exactly. And, you know, with the real estate market, you know, it's definitely different for us because we're involved in it. But, you know, what would you say a common misconception for it is? You know, you have a lot of clients come in. What do you commonly see misconceived with your clients when they come in and, you know, maybe it's their first time buying a house or selling a house?
Well, for a lot of the buyers, especially like if I have investors, just for like 30 seconds, I'll just say this. Investors watch way too much TV and think that, you know, they're going to get this house and it's going to look beautiful and they're going to make $1 million. That's not how it works. So I go very slow with investors because they all have very misconceptions. Buyers, I think they look at everything online. When they look and they see like, oh, my payment will only be this, they don't realize the way that Zillow is doing those estimates on their thing. Like, do you have 20% down? Because if you don't, that's not your payment. They forgot to include your insurance. They forgot to include what your taxes might really be. That is just like your principal and possible interest. So there's a misconception on, you know, what a home would actually cost them, what the down payment is. And I think to our attribute, like, some people think that they still need 20% down, so they'll rent for another 10 years. And when you're renting that long, it's hard to save. And when they find out, like, hey, 3% down might get you into a house, like, you got strong enough credit and you have any amount of money saved, you don't need to break the bank. You know, seller assist isn't coming into play right now because nobody wants to give it because other people go like, oh, well, you need an assist and 10 other people don't, so we're not going with you. So that's, you know, the grant programs, we work with like a lot of like Montgomery County grants, Pennsylvania grants, the borough and township grants. They're, you know, you have to really like paint a pretty picture to get anybody to want to accept that because that comes with a couple extra stipulations. But if their house is good and solid, it will work. And that's what I think people are just like, nope, we're good. So not knowing that there is help out there with down payment money, not knowing that what it would really cost to get into a house is a big misconception. And then knowing what maintenance is, like, you know, you kind of need a little quiz at the end of a home inspection, if we're actually doing home inspections in the near future, of like, hey, so did you take notes? Like, you're going to want to change that filter on your heater every month. Did you know that? You didn't know that because nobody knows that. You're going to want to, you know, clean this part of your pipes out, clean your fireplace. There's just so much that people don't know. But I truly think the biggest misconception would be the process. Everybody thinks it's easy. I like this house. Let's go buy it. And they think that they want to go open doors before they should really get their finances in place. That's another big conception. And on new clients that I say, we need to work on the money first before we open any doors. I might not get that call back, which is fine because there is going to be an agent out there that will go open a door believing these people that they're qualified and that they can buy a $300,000 house. on a $15,000 a year salary. So, to try to change the misconceptions out there. But as far as selling a house, like if somebody's selling a house for the first time, again, our lovely HGTV shows, really cleanliness is more important than staging.
Yeah.
Upkeep on a house. If you have a 50-year-old heater, it doesn't matter that you have a brand new kitchen to some buyers. Like you're going to have to address that at some point too. But right now, I think sellers are just watching this market go nuts, and they're like, nope, I don't want that offer, and I don't want this offer, and this is how it's going to go. So I think, the internet is a double-edged sword. It can help us and it can hurt us all at the same time.
Yeah, I mean it's a tool like anything else, right? It needs to be treated with the respect that it has. It can bring good things and it can bring bad things, and it just needs to be treated for what it can be, and
right.
Not taken as the end all be all of it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's been a pleasure speaking with you, Carolyn. What would you say the best way to contact you if someone wanted to reach out and potentially have you come be their realtor?
That's a great question. I'm just going to say my cell phone number because it's always attached to me. Everybody loves that I always have my phone. So my cell number is 610-476-1713. And text, phone calls, I enjoy talking on the phone, but I also know that most people would rather start with the text, say, how you doing? So that's the best way to reach out. My email address is cprante, CPRANTE, at cbpres.com, Caldwell Banker Realty. And, like I said, if it's 10 o'clock at night and a text is always good because the older I get, the less I answer numbers that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I listen to a message. Somebody leaves a message, I listen right away. And if it's a potential client, I get a call back immediately. But I don't think I'm alone on that because realtors would answer every call, every minute of every day. But now that there's so much out there, if my phone says potential spam, it's probably not somebody who wants to sell their house, but who knows? Never know.
Exactly. Well, it's been a pleasure having you on here. Thank you so much, Carolyn, for your time. I definitely wish you the best in going into 2022 here.
How could I get in touch with you if I have any insurance needs?
Oh, absolutely. You can always contact the office number. We have it's 484-207-6642. And you can just call. That's my direct number. So, just let me know what you're looking to get insurance on, and we'll sort it out. All of our quotes are free, so it's not really any commitment or anything. So,
okay,
just don't hesitate. Even if it's just a question, I'm pretty available. So, just let me know.
That's great because usually when I say insurance, they're like, well, I'm just going to check with, who I have car insurance with. And that's smart. You should always bundle it. But I always like somebody to get a second opinion. I like second opinions on mortgages. I mean, I have great mortgage people, and it could be their brother. But, that doesn't mean your brother is going to give you the best rate, and that doesn't mean that your current insurance person is going to give you the best rate or even know what insurance you might really need for the house that you're buying. So,
absolutely. And, the benefit for me, I'm an independent agent, so I'm not tied to one particular company. So I'm not going to sell people on, you got to get X company because they're the best thing since sliced bread. We're going to actually look at, all the options out there and see what the best situation actually is so that we can present that to the client and get them the best deal.
That's awesome. Yep. And how long have you been doing insurance?
Personally, I haven't been doing it as long, but we do have a team of, a couple different agents at the office here, and together we have, combined experience of, 15, 20 years. So we're definitely here and ready, excited to help anything that comes along.
That's awesome. So, yeah, like you said, when you went through it, the learning curve starts when you really, and that's great that you have a team. A committed team makes all the difference because so many people get their license and they never actually do anything with it, and then they curse the industry. Oh, those insurance, oh, those realtors. So, well, thank you very much. I appreciate your time very much.
Yeah, I appreciate your time, too. Thanks for coming on today. And
awesome. That's the best. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And I hope you have a great day.
Okay, you too.
All right, have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.